Kia ora, nau mai ki tēnei wāhana, tēnei te mihi kia tātou I te ata nei. Hei tīmata ki I tō tātou wāhana kōrero me tuku I etahi kōrero. Tukua kia tū, taki tahi nā whetū o te rani. Let each of the stars in the sky shine in our own light. Tēnei ka mihi ko Maraia Tepa tēnei, mai te whānau o tākai e mihi kau nei kia tātou I te ata. Kia ora, I'm Maraia Tepa, and I'll be hosting our kōrero today. Our kōrero is an awesome kaupapa, and it talks about each mokopuna carries the mauri, the mana, the tapu of their whakapapa and their tipuna. This whenua session is all about aroha, our aroha in action, and how we keep tamariki and mokopuna safe during the summer. Being a parent, a kaitiaki, is quite stressful. Kaumātua, kuia, aunties, uncles and cousins can all be part of supporting whānau and parents and kaitiaki to relieve that stress. We can start creating mokopuna safe spaces within our own kaina, around our marae, and all our whānau celebrations, especially I te wā o te raumati in the summer. Creating strong supportive networks means parents and kaitiaki can feel safe and also be able to find somewhere to ask for help when they need it at these times of raumati in the summertime. We'll hear from an awesome panel of puru taitama that we've collected around the motu that are leaders in their community, and they'll talk about how they support whānau and their own whānau around keeping mokopuna safe. Our first kai kōrero, he uri no te moana o Hamua, called Tampi Bernard. Tampi is a whānau to whānau coach for Talking Matters. He's a papa of 4, and he's been a strong advocate in the union space, especially supporting Māori and Pacific and workplace. Tampi is a fluent speaker of te reo o Hamua. Tēnei te mihi kia Tampi. Ko tō tātou kai kōrero tuarua, ko Anthony Quinn Cowley, he uri no Ngāti Tūwharetoa, me Ngāti Prau. Anthony is a papa, an awesome papa, and he also is a Talking Matters community activator based in Te Whakatohea in Opotiki. He's got a passion for te reo, tikana, haka, and really supports whānau thriving. And our last kai kōrero I runa I tō tātou panel, ko tautoko rātu. He uri no te Atiawa, Ngāti Maniapoto, born and raised, as he would say, te pito o te ao, te pā o Waifetu, a descendant of te Atiawa Ngāti Maniapoto. Tautoko is a husband, a father of 6 tamariki and 1 beautiful mokopuna. Parenting often has its challenges, but however, Tautoko has a beautiful wife that they have a shared equal role. Tautoko is also responsible for managing the hostel of students at Te Aute. So tēnei e whakapuake nei I tō tātou ata, and these are our beautiful panellists, our puru taitama, with their awesome wahine toa. But we're going to get straight into the kōrero, and I'm just going to put it out to well, I would say my brothers actually, that support my sisters and a lot of my wahine to be awesome mamas, to be awesome aunties. So kua tai tātou ki te wā o te raumati. We've started, we've come to summer. What are some of the challenges that that whānau and tamariki are experiencing at this time? And I'll probably push this out to you, Tampi.
Kia ora koutou. Lovely to be here. This time of the year, whānau are feeling a bit anxious. We're all getting a bit tired. The year's coming to an end. I think there's a bit of anxiety going on as well with, the holiday season's coming up, where we're going to be, who we're going to be surrounded by. The kids, we've got to make sure our tamariki are all safe and looked after and catered to as well, as much as we need our health and well-being as well around this time. But yeah, I think it's coming into a time at the moment where whānau are starting to think about where to for Christmas, what happens in the holidays coming up, where are we going to be? I often think about, are we going to be comfortable? Are we going to be safe? also, can we contribute in some way to where we're going to be? And things like that. So that's what I'm feeling, and that's what I'm seeing with whānau that I'm with at the moment. Hi, kia ora.
Kia ora, Tempe. Pēhea koe, Anthony, what are your whakaaro around that pātai?
Ai, kia ora tātou. So I'll go back to our maramataka around that particular time and what our maramataka actually says around that time. Around that 24th, 25th of the month, there's always the heightened emotions, heightened energies, and heightened everything within the whānau. And trying to navigate that while being in that mauri can be very, very stressful for a lot of our whānau. And actually noticing it and acknowledging that time, around that time, where, like Tempe said, all our whānau are having to come together, they're having to figure out where they're going to, and actually who's going to be coming to their whare, and if they can actually provide for the whānau who are coming to their whare to spend Christmas time with them. Ai, kia ora.
Ka pai. And it's a big one because we have new people coming into our kaina and we're thinking about how do we keep our tamariki and our own selves safe in there. But tautoko, for you've got a huge big whānau working at te aute and looking after the boys throughout the year. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing for some of the whānau out there?
At this time of the year, as my co-panelists have mentioned, we are winding up at the end of the year, coming to the end of the season, I guess, of Te Aute. And yes, the stresses are there for whānau, but we can also look at it through a maramataka lens, a te ao Māori lens, and say we are halfway through the year, and it's exciting. So the energy levels for us in our whānau are starting to rise and look forward to the break and focus our energies on our tamariki and celebrate this time of the year. Tēnei kaupeka o te maramataka. So the summer season, the festivities, in our view as a whānau, is a time to really celebrate, let our hair out and celebrate our tamariki and our whānau, and of course share aroha, but mindful as well of our whānau, especially our boys here from Te Aute who are travelling home and who are moving between different environments. So they've been here for the last 9 weeks in this environment. They travel home to a new environment, or their environment at home, and being able to adjust themselves from what they know here to what life is like at home. And that could somewhat be different to what has been their norm growing up. So I've encouraged our tāne from Te Aute to take the learnings from Te Aute and instill them at home and help create some new tikanga at home, whether that be cleaning around the home early in the morning, doing those chores for mama and papa without being asked, and relieving some of that stress on our whānau so that mama and papa can give the energy to their whānau, their siblings, their wider whānau, without any of that undue stress that can sometimes fall upon our mātua at this time of the season.
And that's a big one, or that that pressure of having our older tamariki hoki mai ki te kaina, and those new environments and new people coming in. So thinking about how do we create whānau tikana, you mentioned a little bit there, tautoko, around that, but we also know that it's fine to talk about that whānau have parties, and we will have parties in the raumati. How do you all three of you, keep our tamariki, because you are all fathers, how do you keep our tamariki safe? What are your whānau tikana when it comes to having festive parties I te wā o te raumati?
Koe te rangatahi, and in my upbringing, there was always that one person or that one whānau member who would necessarily look after the wider tamariki while ko te pāti tera while the party is going on. And so there was always that one whānau member or a couple of whānau members who would necessarily not drink but would actually enjoy just being with the tamariki at ki roto i te kāinga. And from that the moments that can happen from that person looking after those tamariki is actually really powerful for those tamariki. To have that one person that's got a calm brain, that can talk and communicate with the tamariki around, oh, mama and papa are out in the garage having a party. Oh, when Pepe wants to always go out and annoy mama and papa, how do we kōrero to them to make them feel safe around those moments? So there was always that one person who would actually be available to look after our tamariki while all of those things were happening around that time.
Ka pai. Pehea koe, Tempe, what are some of your whānau tikana around partying in the summer? Oi.
Hi, yeah, kia ora, sis. It's just off the tail end of what Ant is saying. Same thing. Respectful boundaries. You know, usually we try and keep the adults kind of separated, like Ant was saying, in the garage or downstairs, and we try and keep our tamariki in the whale. We've done it quite recently. We've been away, so the kids are up in the house. The elders are down there. The alcohol's there. Whatever. Some kōrero going on. That's okay. That sort of thing, having someone there with a, you know, as Ant is saying, the straight mind. It's usually the older siblings or the older cousins. You've always got someone who's responsible, who can communicate. But I think it's about communication is everything around that time. Sort of having a pre-discussion about what's happening, who's coming. And I think that's important. Know who's coming to the whale and who's coming to the party. You know, is it someone who's always disruptive and after a couple starts, you know, saying the wrong things, and then you must think wider about who is coming, and often try not to get too many surprises. The tikanga is also, we don't want anyone else but the immediate whānau to come, or bring that friend because we know them. Otherwise, we don't want any surprises from people turning up. All about the kids, put them at the centre. That's what we like to do. Know where to go if something does go down. You know, for some people it might be a neighbour, it might be somewhere down the street, a park you can go to. Just make sure you've got some credit on your phone, or if you don't have credit, some Wi-Fi that can reach out to somebody that you know. Things like that. Just keeping our tamariki safe. Go to the toilet in pairs. Just be mindful of each other. Ai, kia ora.
Ka pai. And I know Tautoko, you've got a big whānau, and you can, and like all of us, huge whānau, and you've got some beautiful, you know, I think you have 3 under 3 kōtiro in your kaina, and it's really interesting when we think about, you know, the safety and keeping, you know, setting some whānau tikana. Do you have whānau tikana with your whānau around te mana o te tinana? You know, how do we look after making sure our kids know their mana and around their own body?
Kia ora tuahine, in like my fellow panelists, communication, ko te wānanga te mea nui. It's the conversations that we have during the day, not at night time, that really influence what happens at night time. And tika tau, te tuahine, te mana o te tangata, te mana o te wahine, is very important. And yes, having 3 daughters under the age of 3 is something we're very mindful of. What we're fortunate as well to have 3 boys over, I guess, or almost teenagers, but 17, 13 and 9. And they understand what their responsibility is come time when we have to separate the adults and the tamariki, and they have that responsibility because they are at that age when they know how to bath the children, how to bath the girls, how to dress them, and how to tiaki them and make sure they go to bed in their allocated spaces. So our tikanga is that our boys put them to bed and they sleep with their sisters. And every other tamariki that's there, they all have their wāhi moe as well. But communication is the key. Our wānanga that we have throughout the day influences what we do in the evening, influences what we do during the day. So when we're looking at activities to do throughout the day, they are shared kōrero. And while we're out there doing our activities, i roto i te tai ao, that's when we wānanga about all these kaupapa. We don't just leave it for at night time and place that responsibility on that adult who likes to be with the tamariki, who likes to entertain the tamariki, because we all have that one or two adults or whānau members that prefer to be with the tamariki, play the guitar, do some little kapahaka skits, or do whatever it is to keep them happy. But another important part of it is that when we give the energy to our tamariki, our mokopuna throughout the day, come after dinner time, they start to wane like the maramataka. And their energies start to sort of diminish. And so it's time, like the routine that you'd have at home with the tamariki, don't break it and don't change it too much. Stick to it as much as possible, because that's what their body clock is. And our tamariki aren't as resilient as us as adults to move between different environments and change the body clock just on the hop. So maintaining some form of routine and normality and wānanga, communication is key to tiaki ia tātou katoa.
And that's beautiful, because that's what we talk about, is that routine and how important routine is, even i te wā o te raumati. And we've got, you know, the light is still shining, kua waru karaka, it's 8 o'clock and the sun is shining. It's like how important routine is. Tempi, how important is routine for your whānau in the summer, and the whānau that you work with?
Yeah, as tautoko shared, it is very important. Keeping routine, it just makes life easier. It's something that our tamariki are familiar with, even down to foods, down to times of moe, times to transition into, you know, the different emotions. You know, it's karakia time, you know, to transition into a more calmer space here. When you keep your routines in check, things for me, even in my own whānau, they run easier because kids are familiar with that. And when you know something that's familiar, you feel safe in that environment. So, and if you're going to be outside of that, yeah, let's discuss that. Let's discuss that and what that's going to look like. But yeah, I think routines are everything. And when you're slightly out of routine, things can be exciting as well. But there's also safety factors and how that's going to be different. But keep your routines. Festive season, you're just going to find it a lot easier to get tamariki into bed. All that sort of thing. The pukas are full, they're happy, they can play until they get tired. Bye.
By one kaupapa when I'm thinking about routines is even the reo that we use, the language that we use when we wānana with our tamariki. Tautoko talks about that a lot. Some of the wānana that I have with my own nieces and nephews is talking about their bodies and te mana o te tinana. And I had a niece come back and she goes, oh, my daddy's bolos. And I was like, oh, do you know what a bolos is? And she's like, no. Oh, yes. And I said, oh, well, a bolos is a penis. And what does mum have? She has a tone tone. And I said, oh, you know, a tone tone is a vagina. And the reason why I continue to use proper words plus whānau words is that we need to make sure that our tamariki can communicate if something happens. Summertime is a time where we can also, you know, we're free. We're usually stripping off our babies and we, you know, they see the different parts of the beautiful body that they have or their kazis has. So it's around how do you promote, you know, celebrating the body of our tamariki. What about you, Anthony? How do you promote celebrating? Because this is the time where our kids are stripping off, especially in the whakatohe. It's nice and hot in the Eastern Bay of Plenty. What are some of the tikana that you do around supporting that growth and reo and knowledge? Because you are talking matters like how do you promote whānau kupu like tone tone and bolos, and using words like penis and vagina.
All those kupu, all those kupu that we know of in our own kāinga, in our own whānau. You know, we've got all these different kupu for what our private parts all mean to us. And going back to te mana o te tinana means to communicate about what your tinana means to you and how that pepe and how that our tamariki see their own tinana as well. You know, some of like, even to go and take, you know, your daughter's undies off, you need to tell them that you are taking their undies off, and you know we're going to tinito kākahu, we're going to change into some togs, rather than just going in and pulling their undies down or pulling their top off, and they don't know what exactly you're doing, because that can be contributing to some of those things that we know of, you know, later on in life, and how the mana of the body actually relates to us in kōrero. And, some of our kupu that we like to use in our kāinga, in our whānau, is tiro. Tiro-tiros. We use tiro-tiros as a form of saying that's our intestines, that's our, puku, ki roto i te tinana. And ko aha te ngā kupu, koira ngā kupu katoa, ne? So all those kupu that we know of is all pertaining, but it's kind of using that simple language to get across the points that we need to our tamariki. Aye.
And it definitely brings up that safety, so they know when you're undressing them that that's the way it should be, that they feel safe, and that's what I hear from you. Thinking about safety, we've talked a bit about some whānau tikana that you all have, and around parties, but also even meeting new people. Well, think about that wider community. A lot of our papas in i te wā o te raumati, they struggle at this time. There's not much support for the papas. What are some of the things that you see for papa in this time, Anthony? It's about acknowledging those heightened emotions, those heightened celebration times when papa, is either has to still go to mahi, still think about buying kai, still think about buying presents for the tamariki. It can be very stressful for papa around this time. And I suppose just getting that whānau support, but being able to put it out there to papas that, every day is about giving to our tamariki. Every single day is about giving to our tamariki, not just Christmas time, not just, their birthdays, but it's about every day how we give to our tamariki. And, for some of us, it's about coming to Christmas time. There's always that, I must give, I've got to give my tamariki this, got to give my tamariki that. So all of these things, emotions start coming in and flooding in very, very quickly over that time. And so, by putting it out there for papas that they don't need to be in that stressful time. They don't need to put their minds and whakaaro into that stressful moment. So just being able to acknowledge that you are giving to your tamariki every single day of the year. Ka pai. And that's a huge one, is like time is such a gift, it's priceless gift, having a papa or having a male in your life as you're growing up as a tamaiti, whether it's a koroa, uncle, and those people that support you. Thinking about that, Tempe, I was thinking about looking at parents, especially that are co-parenting, that might not be, and you might have seen some situations or worked with some papa and that are co-parenting with mama. What are the best things that you've seen in communities around how they can better communicate to each other for mokopuna, for the tamariki?
Yeah, kia ora. That's really important. Whatever your differences are, because we all do have our differences, and if you are co-parenting, put the child at the center. Put your selfish needs or your expectations to the side. Just underpinning everything you do with your tamariki with love, and aroha is the way to do things. It doesn't have to be monetary. It can just be walks, talks, doing things together. That's the most important thing, to communicate with your child, to show your child love and emotions. There isn't too much support out there for fathers, if I'm being honest. I can't really run things off the top of my head of where I'd go. I'd go to my brothers, my siblings. You could go to, other people go to their grandparents, a close work colleague, but also men are very staunch and don't want to show emotions. We seem to think we've got to keep it together, and that can be our undoing as well. So we don't want to. It's always good to talk to somebody close to you, someone you can trust, and someone who's going to listen. There's no use in saying things to people and then they're not listening. So support networks out there, who you trust, whoever that might be, and talk. Talk is important. So I'd say communication is everything, and don't feel, as Answer's saying, we teach love, affection, and giving all throughout the year. And let's face it, times are hard. You know, no one's going to have putia in the back pocket as much as we have in the past, and it's not all about that. It's just about coming together at a time, celebrating the energy, seeing faces you haven't seen in a long time, and enjoying the love.
And I think that's a cool kōrero you talked about, staunch. And, you know, the most not staunchest guy that I know, papa that I know, is Tautoko Ratu. He may look staunch, but he's like the biggest teddy bear out there. And I think, you know, when we're thinking about the well-being and mental health of our papas and our tāne out there, you know, what are some of those things that you do, Tautoko, that aren't too staunch, but you roll in the staunch realms, that you do to support your own well-being and ora of a lot of papa out there?
We have our mātāpono, our values within our whānau, and our tamariki are paramount. They are number one. And aha ko te aha, no matter what. As we know, money will not buy you happiness, but what we do have an abundance of, and an infinite amount of, is aroha. And that's up to us to learn to grow within us. And likewise to those of us who have that, is being able to influence or to share that experience with some of our papa who are either single or struggling with co-parenting. And when they come into your space, it's quite easy to recognize the struggles in people, and especially our papa. If you are a papa, you can recognize that within papa. But to be that shoulder, to like Tempe has mentioned, to be that ear, to be that empath is very important in how you influence your fellow cousins, your whānau, friends that they bring along. It's very important. And like Tempe, I don't know off the top of my head whose services are that papa can turn to. The most important people to turn to are your whānau. And it's important that you have those connections throughout your life, not just when the festive season turns up. So the communication isn't just something that happens at the festive season. This is a continuum of life. Whanaungatanga is important throughout life, for it is your whānau at the end of the day who'll be there to pick you up when you are down. Not a service, not a vehicle with sirens on it. You can only turn to your whānau and your whānau as well. I encourage our whānau to recognise the importance for those of us who have some stability in life, to understand and learn how to reach out to some of our whānau who are struggling a bit, who are a little bit beneath the breadline, and to know that commercialism isn't going to bring happiness to you or your tamariki. The taiao has many resources, our communities have many resources, and what we see now amongst our social media platforms is that a lot of people are giving. And if we don't abuse that, I guess that system, a lot of people will come out and say, hey, I've got this. Kaua e whakamā ki te pātai. Don't be scared to ask and reach out for help. It is a lot normal now for people to reach out, but we still have some of our whānau who are whakamā. And when we see those whānau who are whakamā, we reach out to them and we pull them into your embrace, pull them into your ngākau, and share your ngākau and your aroha with them, and bring them into your tamariki and show them what positive parenting can look like and positive partying can look like, so that they understand how to take those learnings to their environment. Because after all, they're sort of visiting there during the festive time, but it's an easy way to influence our whānau by getting them to feel your vibe, your tikanga, your mauri, and so that can grow in their space.
And I think that's a beautiful kōrero that you talked about, their mauri, your mauri, the mauri of the whānau, whether that's whakapapa whānau or your whānau kaupapa whānau, you know, your waka ama, your haka whānau, the people that you trust, and you guys talked heaps about it. And thinking about that, we delved into some of those parenting spaces and what works for you, and how people can actually find their own support if there's no support, because we know that services usually close down but aren't really catered for papa, as you mentioned. One of the cool things, especially in this part, is around sharing your knowledge around your low cost, no cost activities that you can do with your tamariki and whānau during the raumati. So we might go around and see what are yours, your low cost or no cost activities that you do with your whānau, that really talks about the mahi that you love to do as being whānau. So, okay, a koe tautoko.
In these recent years, my wife and I have been really diving into the low cost, no cost type activities for our tamariki. Given that we have 6 tamariki, we're sticklers for packing a chili bin of kai, whether it's the leftovers from dinner or some of the kai sitting around. We might just have to go buy a bag of chips or something to go with our kai for the day, and finding a spot. So do some homework before, whether you're traveling or within your own home. If you're not traveling, you're still within your takiwa, and be creative, but step outside your norm and go and explore some of those spaces that you wouldn't rather normally explore. Take your chili bin, take some cooked kai, and share that moment with your tamariki, and you'll expend a lot of energy with your tamariki. They will expend a lot of energy going to the ngahere. Like, do some walking tracks. A lot of the walking tracks around our motu now are so awesome, and local councils, regional councils have done awesome jobs of providing those spaces, free of charge to our whānau. And there are spaces where there's no cost barbecues. Just turn up, take your tongs, take your fish slice, a little bit of oil and some paper and a bottle of water to clean the barbecue. It's simple. Turn that barbecue on, get it hot, get the hot plate hot, put some water on there, wipe it down with the paper, and then oil it up and you're away. Fry some sausages there, some eggs or some boiled eggs to take with you. And the kids are easy to please. As long as they got a sausage and some tomato sauce and an egg or a boiled egg and some chippies, they are happy as can be, happy as Larry. And that's a couple of bucks here and there. And go to the river, do some rock stacking. And if you have some kōrero, local knowledge about well, if you're in another takiwa and you find a local that can share some knowledge, take that opportunity and sit there and marvel at the environment that you're in, and marvel at the iwi or the people, the haukainga, and what they do to preserve their environment, and see what you can do to contribute while you're there. If it's picking up some rubbish, there's a lot of teachings that we can teach our tamariki so they can learn to respect others as well as respecting themselves, and understanding that connection of Māori o te tangata ki te taia.
Ka pai, kia ora e te tinane. And over to you, Tempe, because, what does that look like in Te Ao Pacifica and stuff, free, low cost, no cost activities that you love to do with your whānau that you'd love other whānau to do or they're already doing?
Yeah, much the same as Tautoko. We, if you got food left over, let's pack that up. But I think the communication too with your tamariki is also key as well, to let them know that what we're going to do and get their input. When you get them involved, and stop doing all the planning from the parent level, you'll find that things are going to run a lot smoother, because it's how they feel too. I don't feel like doing that today. I don't really feel like walking. I got a bit of headache, like all that sort of thing. But using what's around you, Tai Ao is awesome. I've got Kiki in the background here as my backdrop, and fortunately that's not too far from my whale. So walking up there to see the hippie and the ko and stuff like that, walking around, it fascinates my little guy. He's 4. So, and everyone else just loves. You find when you walk and talk, you don't feel the distance. So you're actually spending quality time. You don't really get to have that kōrero with your kids a lot of the time because life's so busy. But when you find you're in an environment where it costs nothing to walk around these regional parks, these council areas and stuff, use those beaches, flap out a towel, just lie there, and the treat's going to be an ice block if we can get one later. But involving them in what you're planning, it doesn't have to be about money. You know, we're the same. We go on Matua Google and we check out what's free, what's happening in Tamaki Makaurau. Where can we go to? What sort of celebrations? Different cultures are celebrating different things too that we must be mindful of. So we can join in there. We can learn things. We can teach our tamariki those things as well with different cultures while we're out. But being together is the main thing for us. Just being together in any space is the main thing. So when we're together, that's where we can find happiness, and we can adapt to how the day is tracking. We can change and pivot to different things. Hi.
Rawe. And I think that's the cool thing is like you can do heaps of different things, and there's such a huge range. And even in Te Whakatohea, what do you do? I know there's heaps of little activities, so you might want to talk a few things that you do.
Yeah, you know, it's quite different being from Ngāti Tū Whareto when you know you go back into the middle of the Central North Island, and you know all there is just lakes and mountains around, but there's so much potential just to go out and you know go to the different sites, and like what our brothers have been saying, you know, just to go out. But you know, within Te Whakatohea, and then on that side is the beaches. So you've got beaches and it's always fishing, you know, all the whānau are out at the beaches. If it's a sunshining day, sometimes it's raining on Christmas Day and it's still a summer day. But, you know, we have our whānaus that'll retreat to their own kāinga, tōrere, ōpape, you know, all down Te Whānau Apanui. So, you know, all along that way, and we all know that, you know, a lot of people or a lot of whānau will retreat back to those ways to come back to the coast because of that beach, you know, because of they want that area of just beach. And so for us as a whānau, sometimes, and if you're not a whānau that like to go out, like to point out, it's okay just to be at home. It's okay just to be at home doing absolutely kore, you know, it's okay to be just reading a book at home if Christmas is not your thing. So I just wanted to point that out to papas. And, you know, it's not always you go out, you must do this, you must do that, you must do that. Because come the next day, you're going to have to find something else to do to go out and do. But yeah, you know, for our whānau back on the coast, it's almost like we go out and visit other whānau with our kai, you know, the next day. We'll take a kai on that day, and we might go to someone, another whānau's kāinga, have a Christmas with them, have a paku kōrero or a kai with them. So, you know, those small things that really matter to us about coming together, being together, and really looking out for one another over that time as well. Kia ora.
And that's the main thing, is that we're looking out and noticing our whānau. Heaps of our kōrero has been around te raumati, around papas. If you were to say one kaupapa, each of you, that summarises what it's like to be a papa, that'd be awesome to finish up tēnei wahana. So, kia koe Tampi?
Kia ora, sis. For me, it really is just an honor to, you know, to be able to birth life into this world. You know, there's part of me, my legacy will live on through my kids. So, for me, it's an honor, and I don't take that lightly. So, summarize.
Summarize, what a great summary. Anthony, pihea koe, what's the best thing about being a papa or being, you know, just being a provider for?
Well, I guess, you know, having two tamahine, one 15, the other one 4 years old, it's about giving back. You know, it's about what I can give to those, to my two tamahine, even though one of them I haven't had in my life for, you know, she hasn't been in my life for a very long time, but still knowing that she's my daughter, and knowing that I'm her papa as well, but also being able to give back to my 4-year-old, you know, my whāngai, has been the blessing of my life. It's been the blessing of my life. So, you know, I would not turn back the clock for anything and at this point, and you know, at this stage. But being a papa and just being a kaitiaki, being an uncle to all of my nieces and nephews, it says a lot. It says a lot how respected you are as that male figure for all of your, you know, tamariki and for all of your nieces and nephews. So, you know, it's not just about being a papa, but it's actually been about a role model for your own whānau. So, ai, kia ora.
Kia ora, Anthony. Kia koe te tūnane, tautoko.
Oh, wait, it's hard to come off the back of the brothers. It's like taking the words out of my mouth. Heoi, tautoko ane ngā kōrero. It is a privilege, it's an honour to be a father, to contribute to the continuation of your whakapapa and those that have gone before us. That is the honour. But what we do within this space as papa, to perpetuate longevity of your whakapapa, and to ensure that you are that role model, you are that ahuru mōwai for your tamariki, for your nieces, for your nephews, and most of all being a supportive husband, making sure that I can relieve as much stress that I can from my wife, because they are paramount in our world, our wahine, and what we do to protect them and our tamariki, for me, is at the forefront of what I do as a papa. And I respect that, and I respect our wahine, and I really look forward every day to celebrating with my tamariki and having fun some way, shape or form, and looking forward to the festive season. And I hope everyone too, if you're a bit like me and procrastinate here and there, actually I'll say I procrastinate all the time, but I'm like a kiwi and I grow some wings and fly. You know, and use our experiences, reach into our kiti to be that positive papa, to be positive parents, to influence others and to bring others along on the journey. If they're not quite got a hold of that hoi in the waka, hand it to them and say, this is how we paddle and this is how we go forward. And everything for everyone will be just a blessing.
O tēnei ka mihi kia tātou e nā whanauna I whai wāhi mai ki te kōrero kia tātou. Engari ka re muti konei. Thank you to our awesome panelists. So our first pātai, it's anonymous, and it is, what is the best thing, or what is the best things to check in with our whānau for their safety plan over the holiday period? So what are the best things? Maybe what are some of the like checklists? I think it is. What are some of those checklists that you might put in your own checklist to make a whānau plan?
We're not all jumping in, so I'll just try and jump in. What we do as a whānau, we've got some set tikanga within our wider whānau, and leading into the festive season for my wider whānau, my mum, my sister, and all our tamariki. Our check-in is a pre-Christmas dinner, because it's not guaranteed that we'll be at the same Christmas table every Christmas season. So we always check in. We take time to kai together, to kōrero together, and understand what everyone is up to. And when we can provide support, that's what we do. And we can give suggestions, but also we ask questions of each other and where they're going to, where we're going to, who are the whānau we're going to, and what are some of those tikanga like we've spoken about that are in place to ensure that our nieces and nephews are taken care of, or our brother-in-law, our sister-in-law, the sister and the bro are taken care of. So we know within our hearts that when they leave us for the festive season, we leave each other, we go our own ways. We know within our heart we're all safe. And that's how we sort of check in with each other and go through our checklists.
Ka pai. And this is a quick pātai, or actually a big pātai from Rebecca Fraser. Kia ora, Rebecca. She's loving the kōrero. She talks about our organisation is thinking about particularly keeping those tamariki safe who are takatapui or rainbow. When there are lots of whānau around, there are different ideas about how okay it is to be takatapui. What kind of things could we think about to support whānau to be safe for these tamariki? So it's thinking about our rainbow takatapui tamariki. We probably have them in our these beautiful tamariki in our whānau. So what are some ideas and stuff that we can support Rebecca and her whānau in this space?
Kia ora, Rebecca. I'll answer that question for you, koutou mā. Yeah, very hard part actually to answer. all our tamariki are the same, whether they're takatapu or rainbow. All of our tamariki need to be looked after in one way or another. And I guess however that support comes for those takatapu or rainbow tamariki, we don't necessarily see them as just takatapu or rainbow. It's actually inclusive of all whānau being able to look after all whānau at once. And sometimes it can be hard to have those conversations with whānau. It's choosing who their trusted whānau can be to have that kōrero with. So Rebecca, just to answer your pātai, for myself, it was necessarily all of that was finding that trusted person that you can be around to have those kōrero, but also to be able to feel trusted around other whānau.
Can I add to your kōrero e hoa? I'll share a recent experience that we had in our whānau in the last school holidays, and on our way back from a wānanga up the far northern i te Tai Tokerau, we had a nephew with us, and we slept over in Orewa on the way home, and my wife was having a kōrero to our nephew alongside of our two sons, and they were all close to each other. And my wife did ask the pātai of our nephew, you know, are you takatapui, are you cross-dresser, or do you prefer to dress straight, and what are your whakaaro, what are your aronga, what is your thinking? And it was beautiful for him to share that with my wife. But what he had also done prior to my wife asking the question without us knowing, he shared that with his cousin, our son, and they're the same age. And so having someone that he can trust, you know, like our son, he shared that with him. And so that is something that we treasure, that he can trust our whānau, and it's been our, I guess, our task, our challenge in how we share that kōrero with his parents, with his nani and koro, and we've slowly done that over the course of this term. So not to frighten the whānau, or not to say, hey, me whakaiti te tamariki, he tamaiti no te tamaiti, he tangata anō te tangata, aha ko te aha, and they're still like us. Preference is a choice, and we want to celebrate that with our nephew, and he knows he has a safe place to come to. If ever he is in need, if ever he is in trouble, we've guaranteed him, you call us and we'll be there for you.
Wow, pai tērā. He pātai anō, and this is from Janice, and this might be one for you, Tempe, or Tautoko, with our teenagers. Actually, we've got a few papas with teenagers. Any suggestions for teenagers that get bored?
Oh, gee, that's every day, isn't it? Again, it's about kōrero, tapping into what is it that you want to do for a change. Or, you know, it might be something, not something that we want to do particularly on the day, but what is it that you want to do? Tell me about that. And it is keeping the lines of communication open all the time. I often do that with my kids, and I know that parents I work with do the same. If you're not asking the questions, if you're not tapping into the whys, and you matter, let's explore that. And could be something totally different that we haven't done, but let's do that, because that's what our tamariki want to do. Can I just quickly say off the tail end of in Pasifika, Samoan, whawhiwhinge means to be like a woman. So for my culture, it's sort of something that is respected. It comes through. If your child starts to dress or feel that way, it's respected. You know, you act that way. This is the way you are, and that's celebrated too for times. You know, because they really do contribute to the family. So we come as a collective. I just thought I'd put that out there quickly with the pātai on that. But yeah, communication with your kids, involving them, and really talking to them about what matters.
And I think you all have talked about that, especially at whatever age, it's that communication is like key. Wānana is key to boredom or anything, or keeping safe.
Can I
One
just
more
add to
tātai.
that, Tuahine,
I
about our
can add
teenagers?
to it.
Because our eldest boy is 17 and our youngest is 18 months. And yes, we have to be mindful of activities that cater for the breadth of that age span. So our communication has been, when we plan our activities, these are our activities are whānau inclusive of all our tamariki. And these are everyone's role, our teenage boys, taking up pepe, but we also guarantee them a time and space where they can do things of their choosing. And one of us adults assign ourselves to go and support our time, or go and have that fun, or go and have that moment with them and take them out to do what they want to do. But also be mindful of the devices and the influence of devices, and encourage our tamariki to have no device time or hours, and encourage them to be like Maui. Go out there and be mischief in a safe space, in a safe way. Go and explore the world, and go and have a hautatu, and go and have a raweke. At the end of the day, you won't break it. You'll just alter its look and appearance.
Ka pai. And I think that's all we have time for, but we do have one more quick pātai, and it's from Pippa, and it's talking about our tamariki whaikaha, our tamariki with disabilities. Ne? And usually this is a real pressure time for them, but you've basically answered it even in all your kōrero. It's about talking to our tamariki, having those conversations, and getting them to design what that could look like for them, and being part of that journey, whether that's it, but to support, to reduce that whole pressure. So wow, that was an awesome kōrero whānau. Tēnei ka mihi kia koe, kia koutou, te toko toru I hāpai nei I tēnei wāhana, e kore e mimiti te aroha. We're going to go into, and I really do acknowledge the awesome kōrero we have here, but I better get back into the mahi. A lot of the kōrero that you heard today, we actually got from a rauemi that could support you around having safe parties and things like it, and having those conversations. Is Aroha in Action. Aroha in Action is a collective that was designed by a collective, Amokura, Family Violence Collective Amokura in Te Taitokero. Just gives you some real simple activities and kōrero for you to think about. A lot of our kōrero by our panel today was all about Aroha in Action. Pupuia Te Tamaiti is around keeping calm with our tamariki, another good rauemi to support our mahi. If we're thinking about how do we support our papa, and actually people, there's also the In Your Hands website that was just recently designed, and it can take you through figuring out actually what's happening to me and how can I get support. If there's a service finder tool where you can have a look, and if you're a bit worried about your own mental health, there's a tāne that you have tamariki. It's just a quick survey. You can do it on wherever you are. If you're in Ruatoki or Wellington, you can find out where those services are. If you just want to speak with tāne, or bring it up. It's a nice little rauemi, and you can basically think. And as you see, it'll tell you which providers and services are available for you to support the mahi that you continue to do. So those are some of the rauemi that we have, and you can scroll right down to the bottom and find all that. But if you want, it's inyourhands.org.nz. You can also find it on the It's Not Okay website. And Tākau website has heaps of activities to support you, and you can catch up with some of our awesome webinars that we held through the year. Mā te rana Māori, Ngā tohu whānau, Te Ao Tākaro, the Power of Play. So just a few spaces and places where you can get other kōrero. Tēnei ka mihi, this is our last for 2022, our last of our whenua sessions. Tēnei ka mihi ki wā tātou kai kōrero I te ata nei. Kia koe Anthony, Tempe, tautoko tēnei e mihi nei a tākai kia koutou katoa. Kia koutou nā kai whakarono to all our kai whakarono, tēnei te mihi. Ka whakakapi nā kōrero I tēnei wāhana. Kia tau, kia tātou, te atawhai o tō tātou ariki ai hukuraiti me te aroha o te atua me te whiwhina tahitana o te wairua tapu, ake, āmene, mauri ora. Hei kona.